Hello everyone and welcome back to another average review. And today's pretty special because I'm going to be taking a look at the new McFarlane DC Multiverse 2025 David Corenswet movie Superman figure. So taking a look at the packaging quickly, and it's pretty similar to normal DC Multiverse packaging, with the exception that the DC logo is smaller, and this black section right here is extended to show the logo for the Superman movie, along with, of course, the Superman name down here. On the side, we can see that this is Superman from Superman, along with the logo for Superman. And on the back, we have some... well, it's, I guess, alright artwork of David Corenswet as Superman. I would have preferred if they just used a regular photo of, him in his Superman suit. But, you can't win them all. Overall, yeah, this packaging is fine. I don't really have anything to say about it other than, well, yeah, it's just alright. Now, let's get this new live-action Superman out of the box. Alright, getting this figure out of the packaging, and I actually do have a lot of nice things to say about this figure. Starting off with the suit itself, and it is unbelievably accurate to the suit that appears in the new Superman movie. I mean, look at all the line work and texturing on the figure. It's all super accurate, on the blue bodysuit. With the details on the shoulder and the forearms, down to, the line work on the legs. It is really well done. The logo, which is inspired by Alex Ross's art on Kingdom Come, is really good looking and, like I said, accurate to the movie. It is more smooth than the one in the movie since we've seen some close-up shots of it and it is pretty textured, but I don't mind that. It does look, a bit better on a smaller figure like this. The belt and trunks do look great. The details on the trunks, like the lines, do, line up with the legs, which look really nice. The boots are pretty good looking. They do look like the classic Superman boots, but they are a bit different. They have more line work and texturing, and the shape is a little bit different. I love how the cape is tucked in. Now, granted, this is a plastic sculpted one, but it does have a lot more texture than a usual, cloth or wired one, and it has a very nice sculpted, yellow S on the back. The likeness to David Corenswet is pretty good, I'd say. It isn't exactly perfect, but it's really good. It looks a lot like, how he looks as Superman. It looks a little lifeless, but still, it looks really good, and McFarlane has really come a long way with, their live-action likenesses. The proportions on the figure are pretty nice, fairly realistic for a McFarlane figure. The legs do look a little long from some perspectives, but hey, McFarlane has improved their proportions too. So, hey, that's pretty nice. Some negatives, well, it isn't really a problem with the figure itself, more so the design of the suit, but I don't really like the collar on Superman. Now, granted, I don't dislike the collar on this one as much as I do with the New 52 Superman, but still, usually I'm a fan of a more wide neckline for Superman. I also mentioned that I do wish the face was a little less lifeless, but, I mean, it still looks fine. But I'm not exactly a fan of the, wrist balls that kinda stick out. Granted, they are covered by the forearms and the hands themselves, but I would have preferred, more like how the ankles look, where they actually, flow with the sculpt a bit better. Still, though, this figure looks really, really nice and accurate to the new movie version of Superman. But looks aren't everything. This is an action figure, so let's see how this Superman moves. So moving on to the articulation on this Superman, and it's a pretty standard DC Multiverse affair. His head is on a dumbbell joint, and unfortunately it does not get much up, which is a bit disappointing for a flying character like Superman. It also doesn't get much down or tilt side to side, but it does get all the way around. He's of course got the McFarlane rotator cuffs, which do give a pretty good amount of wobble. He's also got shoulders that can spin all the way around, unimpeded by the cape, and only hinge a little under 90 degrees, which is once again a tiny bit disappointing. He does have the standard McFarlane bicep swivel though, which gives you all the way around, along with double jointed elbows with a pretty much perfect bend, along with the standard McFarlane wrist articulation, which gives you swivel and hinge in any direction. Although it is a little impeded by the forearm piece right here. Now, in terms of the torso articulation, he does have, a ball joint in the torso and the waist. He doesn't get that much hunch forward, although it is a little better than usual. And the only arch back he gets is really from the lower torso. So here's the kind of flight pose you can get him with. It's pretty good, although I do think it could be better. He does get a pretty good amount of tilt side to side, though, and twist in the upper and lower torso. He, of course, has the McFarlane-style hips, which can kick forward about 90 degrees and get a perfect split, along with the McFarlane twist in the hip, the joint is a bit tight, but it gets a pretty good amount of twist. Now, he's also got double jointed knees with a pretty good bend, along with the standard McFarlane ankle articulation, which can hinge forward, backwards, pivot side to side, although with a lot of resistance, and swivel all the way around, along with the McFarlane-style toe articulation. So overall, pretty good in most areas, except the head and the shoulders, which is a little bit disappointing. Moving on to the figure comparisons, and of course we have the standard male and female comparisons, the Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows, Spider-Man, and Spinneret. Moving on to the DC comparisons though, and we gotta start with the other half of the world's finest, Batman. On the left we have the classic blue and gray Nightfall Batman, and on the right we have the Three Jokers Batman with the first appearance Batman head. And I gotta say, I love how this Superman looks with Nightfall Batman. They just fit surprisingly well together, which is probably due to Superman's classic costume and color scheme in the new movie. But if we're bringing out Superman and Batman, we gotta bring out Wonder Woman. Unfortunately, I still only have the McFarlane Last Night on Earth version, but I am hoping to change that soon enough. But for one last DC hero comparison, we have the Mattel 6-inch DC Universe Classics Guy Gardner, since he's also going to be appearing in the new Superman movie. And boy am I excited to see Guy's usual jerky self on the big screen. Speaking of the big screen, let's talk about the villain that Superman's gonna mainly be facing in the new movie, Lex Luthor. This is specifically the DC Rebirth Power Armor version. Now, of course, this isn't the new live-action Luthor, and I don't even think he's gonna be wearing his armor in the movie. But hey, these figures do look fantastic together, and if the new Lex Luthor does get a power armor, I hope it looks really similar to this, since it just matches this Superman so well. For some other comic book Superman villains, though, we have General Zod from DC Rebirth, and the Atomic Skull from the Amazon-exclusive Atomic Skull 2-pack on the right. For one of Superman's biggest baddies, though, we have Doomsday, specifically the Mattel New 52 version. For some other Mattel Superman villains, though, we have Ultraman from the Crime Syndicate 5-pack on the left, and Parasite on the right. Now, I got a question for those watching this video. Who do you think the mysterious purple-costumed guy in the new Superman movie is? He is named Ultraman, and, he's got a big U on his chest, but I'm not exactly sure if he's, the Earth 3 evil version of Superman. He does have a similar color scheme to Parasite, and his design does look similar to Doomsday's containment suit, but I've also heard people say he could end up being Bizarro. So, hey, Tell me who you think he's gonna be in the comments, or, if he's just gonna be a completely original character, loosely based on Ultraman. Personally, I'm hoping it's Parasite, because, Parasite is one of my favorite Superman villains. For some more cosmic-scale Superman villains, though, we have Brainiac from the McFarlane Page Punchers line, and if you know the history of cancelled Superman movies, you know that Brainiac was planned to appear in a lot of them, but none of them ever saw the light of day in live action, so let's hope the new James Gunn universe changes that. But hey, for what is probably DC's most major villain, we have the DC classic Darkseid Megafig. But hey, moving away from the villains, and I wanted to show off this new David Corenswet Superman with what are probably the two most important Superman adaptations of all time. On the left, we have the Fleischer Studios Superman. That adaptation was the first instance of Superman ever flying, which has now become one of Superman's most iconic powers. And on the right, we have the McFarlane Page Punchers Superman 78 Christopher Reeve Superman, which I don't even need to say anything about the Christopher Reeve Superman. He simply embodied the character in a way that I hope to see in the new 2025 Superman movie. And hey, I have really high hopes for that. But hey, as is tradition, here's the new 2025 live-action Superman with Hit Monkey and Goliath. Now moving on to accessories, and unfortunately this Superman is pretty lightly packed. Now, of course, he comes with the McFarlane, figure stand and trading card, and on the back it does have a summary of the 2025 Superman movie. Pause right now if you want to read it. Now, in terms of actual accessories, though, he does come with, these two hands in the box. One is a fist and one is an open hand. Unfortunately, he doesn't come with another fist. But he does come with these two matching, fully open palm hands for when he wants to, soar through the air, surrender, or karate chop Lex Luthor in the face. All are equally valid things for Superman to do. Especially the last one. Moving on to the price now, I was able to find this Superman for about $24 at Target. He goes for about the same price at, just about every official retailer, although on most websites he is sold out or is only open for pre-orders. So, if you're unable to find him in stores and the only online retailers you trust are sold out, then you'll probably have to turn to eBay. And unfortunately, this figure in box is going for about $40 on eBay. So, my advice, don't pay scalpers a ridiculous amount of money. Just pre-order this guy from somewhere else, or, hopefully be able to find it in stores. Because, like I said, you'll probably be able to find this guy at Targets. That's where I've mainly seen him show up. Now, in terms of my final thoughts on the new 2025 live-action Superman figure, I'm a pretty big fan. It's got a great sculpt, pretty alright articulation, and a great David Corenswet likeness. But that doesn't mean the figure is without its flaws. The hands he comes pre-packed with, the fist and alternate open hand are just that. He doesn't come with another alternate fist or another, alternate open hand. Now, granted, he does come with, the alternate pair of flying hands, but, I would have preferred if he came with two fists and then two flying hands. Also, some of the articulation in the head and the shoulders are, they leave a bit to be desired. I wish the shoulders could raise up more and the head had more range. I've also seen some people have problems with the sculpted cape, complaining that it's not wired, and I do get it, but personally, I'm fine with it, especially since the only way to get this guy with a wired cape and alternate expressions is that deluxe theatrical pack, which only comes with faceplates, the same alternate hands, and crypto, along with a wired cape, and that's like $30. Or it might be going for more. I haven't checked in a while. So personally, I'm fine with this, standard release. And overall, I'm going to give the McFarlane DC Multiverse 2025 David Corenswet Superman an 8 out of 10. He leaves a bit to be desired, but if you want a new, super articulated figure of the new live-action Superman, then this guy is a pretty good bet. For those of you still sticking around, thank you, first of all. And second of all, have a great day, 'cause you deserve it. Bye-bye.